All right, great, awesome. Providence, Rhode Island, welcome. You guys are not too far, but it feels like a forever away, doesn't it, right now with this crazy environment that we're all in. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tether us over to Facebook, and we're going to get started with Chef at Mory's and Carla Cruzoni, who is the general manager. So just give me a moment to get that set up, and we're going to get cooking in the Mory's kitchen, which we're so excited to do. So give me just 1 second. I'm going to tether us over. We're going to let our friends on Facebook join us. And we will be live in just 1 moment. Everybody hang tight and we're going to get cooking. We're so happy to have all of you. Let's see. I think we're almost there, everybody. Isn't the internet fascinating these days, how we can do these things? It's a whole different ballgame than it was just a short year ago. So let me just, sorry guys, takes a second sometimes. Yale Alumni. All right, so we should be in the Yale Alumni Facebook group momentarily. Thank you to those of you who have joined us in Zoom. We are so excited to have you, and we are ready to get cooking with Chef David Brai, the new head chef at Mory's. And I think we are there. So on that note, I would like to welcome everyone and thank you for joining us. I've got the little scroll going across my screen for Facebook, but we should be up there. Oh, and there we are. Awesome. Thank you all so much for being here with us tonight. My name is Stephanie, and I am on the regional clubs team at the Yale Alumni Association. I'm the host of Yale Alumni Live, and we are so excited to be here. These past 2 weeks, we have been celebrating something that we have been calling the Pep Rally, which is a celebration of all things Yale in lieu of what should have been the game this coming Saturday. So as many of you know, there is no celebration at Yale without Mory's. So what we have done is we have invited our friends from Mory's to join us for 2 separate sessions. Last week, we met Basie Gitlin, who is the Director of Development for the libraries at Yale, and he told us the history of Mory's because he and his father actually wrote a wonderful, wonderful historical account of Mory's, and he told us all the tales of the early days of Mory's. And then tonight, we are so, so grateful to be joined by Carla Cruzoni, who is the General Manager of Mory's, who's been there for 5 years now, so some of you may have met her, know and love her, I'm sure, and also the new head chef, Chef David Brai, who has been with Mory's since just the beginning of August. So we are really, really pleased to have both of them here with us tonight. And just as a reminder, we have the option for you to put questions into the comments, both in Zoom and on Facebook. So if you have questions as Chef is going along, feel free to send those over to me and I will get them to them. So at this point, I would love to introduce and welcome Carla, who I'm sure you recognize where she is standing at Mory's, and she's going to tell us a little bit about herself and a little bit about exactly where she is in the building and a little bit of the history of what is behind her. So Carla, thank you so much for being here. Tell us a little bit about where you are and what we've got going on.
Thank you, Stephanie. It's wonderful to be here. I'm so glad to have everyone coming in. So welcome to Mory's. As you can probably tell from behind me, I'm standing in Louis' Lounge, which is that small front bar area in the smart beginning of the building. And this is actually where we have a lot of our events. And I wanted to just be here to show you these on the wall behind me. I'm going to try to do this. I'd never make a weather person. These are actually original menu signs that were hanging on the walls at Mory's, at least as far back as 1875. And it definitely shows that what we were serving were Welsh Rarebits and a variation of it, which is golden bucks. In fact, Jane Moriarty brought her own original recipe for the rarebit over from England. So there's definitely a very long history of the rarebit, and I'm sure there are alums going back many, many years who've had more than one here.
So Carla, I'm not too embarrassed to say this because I've learned that other people were also confused by the name. Welsh Rarebit is not rabbit.
Right.
Yep. So, and there is a little bit of a story behind that. Can you just tell us briefly kind of how that came to be, that dish?
I can tell you what I know. There really isn't any final consensus on it, but everyone does agree that rarebit is probably a bit of a bastardization of rabbit. which leads people that the Welsh part of it is that Welsh people could not afford rabbit. So they created this dish, which is sort of this, these cheesy molten sauce poured over bread so that it kind of looked like it and was a substitute for it. I don't know if that was tongue in cheek or if that was actual, but that's sort of one of the theories behind it.
Well, I was so glad when I saw a little chatter on the Yale Alumni Facebook page wondering exactly what was in the recipe. I didn't feel so alone when I mistook it for actual rabbit. So we're excited to have Chef with us. So for those of you who don't know, Mory's has been open since the beginning of the semester. They are serving students and alums and guests of all types right now, but Chef is newer to Mory. So Carla, tell us a little bit about Chef and when he joined your team.
Sure. We actually, Chef came to us in the middle of the pandemic. We actually interviewed via Zoom, which is really interesting because usually one of the things that you look forward to when you're interviewing a chef is eventually they do a taste test for you. And we never got a chance to do that before because of the pandemic. We were never all together in the same room at the same time. We did do one once David started with us. And I think that was the night we had a hurricane. So there was just always something, but we were absolutely sure that David's cuisine is something we wanted to have here at Mory's because it's such a terrific blend of bringing in some new elements and melding with the historic dishes like our rarebit.
So Chef, you won them over on your personality alone, it sounds like.
That's how I did it.
so no pressure, but we're hoping that comes through tonight, right? You're going to be
I always
some
see,
things.
Every problem or every downside always has there's always a prize in there, and mine happened to be, the pandemic and Mory. So it's been a great combination. I want to thank the board for their support. Since I've been here, it's been great. Behind the scenes, I sense that, there's a lot of support here from the board and from Carla and from Marge and the rest of the team. It's been humbling, but, we're here to make Mory's, and turn Mory's back to its glory and bring it into the next generation. So, that's the goal. The rarebit. I want to also say hello to whoever's watching at home. My wife and Joe Berg from '84, graduate of Yale, had to throw that out there. I also want to thank the members, for those of you that I met in the dining room, and for those of you that haven't had the opportunity to come yet. I'm here. Ask for me by name. I'll come to the table, and I'll tell you, don't order the rarebit, whatever you do. No, you can have as much rarebit as you want, but I would, if you're older now and you have some heart issues, you might want to think about what you're eating. Okay, so rarebit, back in the days, all the history about it and all that stuff, this is what they ate. It was cheap, it was high in calories, and so my take on it was maybe it was rabbit, maybe not, but a fricassee of rabbit would have been something that may have been prepared in this manner, and it would have had some white wine or some beer in it or whatever. But at Mory's, this is basically a cheddar cheese sauce on toast, and then we're going to take you through the different versions of it, the bacon butt, and then the bacon butt with eggs. So when we first start out with this, we have our butter in the pan, and I shared the recipe with you, Stephanie, and for those that want to make it at home, you got the 4 ounces of butter, and we're basically just going to make a roux here, and that's going to start the whole thing. Melt the butter down, add the flour. It's a 1-to-1, so however much butter is in there is however much roux you're going to use. In the culinary world, we make different types of roux, and that all just depends on how long you're going to cook it. We're going to make a blonde roux because our sauce is going to be a cheese sauce or a white sauce, but you can continue to cook this and get a little brown on it, and the flour will take on a little nutty flavor, which is kind of nice. So once we get that roux started, And for those of you that are gonna make, you know, gravy on Thanksgiving, you're gonna need some of this stuff right here. I'm just gonna lower the flame a little bit. All right. And then you can add your beer. We're gonna add some spices. Once you get the roux started, you go ahead with the dry mustard. I prefer Coleman's, but you can use the regular dry mustard. A little Worcestershire sauce. I'm gonna go in there, okay? And I'm using some Sam Adams, but hey, if you like Beck's or you like Corona or you like, I don't know, St. Pauli Girl, or you like an IPA, you like whatever you like, you can put it in here. So we're gonna get the beer in there. We're gonna need about 30 ounces, so.
So Chef, this serving that you're making right now, about how many dishes does it yield?
The batch of sauce that we're making right now will make probably up to 12 to 14 of the Rarebit. And they're all the same size, although the Rarebit for one will do. You can make a bunch of those.
So anybody watching, just as a quick aside, anyone who is watching who would like to make this at home, we will post the ingredients and the recipe along with the recording of this video. You should also be able to find the ingredients under the event listing on alumni.yale.edu, but we'll make sure that everybody has that recipe available to them after Chef is done here tonight. So back to you, Chef. Where are we at with this recipe?
Everything in cooking is about some type of ratio, especially with sauces or vinaigrettes. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, well, I want this to look like a certain consistency before I start adding the other ingredients. So you can see right now, it's kind of like a thick kind of gravy, right? It's a beer gravy.
Beer gravy sounds perfect for Thanksgiving, doesn't it? those challenging family dinners.
The darker the beer, the more flavor it's going to have. All right. So then once the beer's in there, we're going to add the heavy cream. And I'm not looking at the recipe, and this is actually the first time I've made it here at Mory, because I was told when I got here, do not change this recipe. There will be a revolution, and there will be an upheaval if you change it. So no, I've made it before, but I always let Sean make this because he's always made it. And it's okay, Sean, you make it. Now, we have our beer, thickened beer mixture here, and I added the cream, all right? And you can see what that looks like now, okay? Now, for those of you that want to get creative, you know, you like some Coleman's mustard, whole grain mustard, you can add whatever you want to this once we get this ratio right. The next thing is going to be the cheese. Now it's important, I have a blend of white and yellow cheddar. It's important that you buy block cheddar, something that's high quality. Don't buy that stuff that's shredded already. It's got some other ingredients in it that the cheese doesn't melt all the way and it gets kind of grainy. You want this sauce to be nice and smooth. So add a little salt, a little fresh pepper.
Chef,
we got to make sure our temperature's right. So we don't want it to be too hot. Otherwise, this will start to scorch and burn. I'm just going to take a look at the flame over here. All right.
Chef, we got an interesting comment by my friend Wendy. She's suggesting that you use a local beer in the future because she feels like Sam Adams is a little too that town that we don't like to speak about, that we like to beat in the game.
Oh, yes. I knew that was going to be a problem because there's that other university over there. I won't say the name.
We don't need to speak of them.
Team. I hear you. We will get a New Haven brew. And actually, we have some here. And I said, well, you know, I got the so-and-so. I won't say the name anymore. All right, now we're going to start to incorporate the cheese. And this is what's going to make This is so delicious. And of course, you're gonna adjust the seasoning at the end with whatever you like. If you like whole grain mustard, put some whole grain mustard in there. We're gonna add a little bit of Tabasco to this. And I may switch to a spoon because this is gonna get kind of cheesy. You can see that. Depends how thick it gets. But the key is that we have a cheese that melts nicely and doesn't get all grainy. You can use whatever cheese you want. Just take into account that if it's a softer cheese, you're probably not going to need as much of the liquid or the beer. But certainly you can blend gorgonzola, blue cheese. You can blend anything into this. Now the key is to get it smooth. All of the stuff is melted. And it's, you know, it's almost like a fondue. Although a fondue, you typically wouldn't be having too much flour in it.
Chef, I have another quick question for you. Is it better to use salted or unsalted butter in preparing this?
Unsalted.
Unsalted butter.
Unsalted butter, yeah.
Okay, and then the same thing regarding cheese. You just said you could pretty much use any cheese that you prefer, but do you personally prefer a sharp or an extra sharp cheddar? What do you have going there exactly?
Yeah, you could use whatever you want. I have I don't have an extra sharp here. I have mild cheddars, but certainly you could use a sharper cheddar. And again, some of those sharp cheddars are a drier cheese. All right, so you can see now we have this nice consistency. All right, looks like a nice cheese sauce. So now I'm gonna shut this down and we're actually gonna make the Rarebit. All right. Make sure this is shut off.
I don't know about the rest of you watching at home, but I just keep thinking to myself, where I would like to dip a pretzel in that. I would like to dip a number of different delicious treats in that. It looks so good. I really wish that you could bring this to my house. In our casserole
dish, we have some toast, right? We use just white toast. You could use whatever toast you like. You like whole grain, you like rye. You want to cut the crust off. You want it to be nice and dry because it wants to soak up this cheese sauce. Okay. We ladle this in here. Now the key to this is going to be putting it under the broiler. So if you have an oven with a broiler setting, you put it on broil. And you're going to put this under the broiler and brown this beautiful golden gooiness, right? So we're going to brown that. I'm going to warm up some bacon to put in there as well. Okay, that's what you should be looking at. Your cheese sauce should be something like that. Now, whatever you're not going to use here, you're going to cool it. And then the amount that we made here is certainly enough for quite a few people, quite a few servings. So maybe you cool it in smaller containers and you heat it up, you know, only what you need. When you go to heat it up, you can use a little bit of cream, a little bit of beer, or a little bit of just water to start out with. And then slowly start incorporating with the whisk over the stove the cold cheese sauce. And that's the way to bring it back to life if you once you've cooled it.
So Chef, there was a quick question that came in that I think is a brilliant question, which was, could you use this same sauce to prepare a mac and cheese, for example? Would you ever do something like that?
Yes, exactly. This is a classic cheese sauce. Oh boy.
I like your thinking. Was that Lisa? Lisa, I like the way you're thinking about using that cheese sauce. Seems like the perfect complement to many dishes. And everybody's getting a nice view of the Mory's kitchen. I'm sure many of you have not been back there before.
Now we're going to finish this. Okay, now that it's golden, we're going to have that. And we're going to have our toast. Okay. For those of you that have been here, you always never have enough toast. Point. Always need more toast. All right. So that's your rear bit. And then we have the bacon. All right, that goes on here. All right, that's your bacon butt. And then finally, you have the poached egg over the top. I mean, you could do this as a brunch item if you wanted to. And then I like to put just a little more cheese sauce right over that to give you that kind of egg Benedict kind of feel. And there you go.
So our cameraman this evening is Tim. I'm going to see if Tim can get a super close up for us to see exactly how broiled the top of that rarebit is, so we can get an idea of what it looked like, how browned it was. Chef, it was only just a few moments that you had it in the broiler. Is that right?
Yeah.
So what would you suggest for someone who is doing this at home? Just two minutes, 3 minutes in the broiler?
Depending on the broiler. What I have here is a big BTU broiler, so you can see it was under there real quick. You could do it in a toaster oven if you didn't have a broiler. So yeah, it takes, you know, you can keep an eye on it depending on how hot your broiler is. You want it to brown and bubble like that. You don't want it to burn. I was really close to burning it without to make it over. All right. So I have a few more dishes that I wanted to share with you that are on the menu here at Mory's. This is the classic Moolais Frites. So, and the French love to serve French fries, and of course, you have mussels prepared with some herbs and shallots and a little bit of white wine and Dijon mustard. And then we put some French fries right over the top here to soak up all that nice juice that's in there. This is a real popular item right now.
That's because those French fries are amazing.
For the more health conscious people, we have our temple bowl, which has red and white quinoa, greens, water chestnuts, edamame, snow peas, carrots, celery, some scallion. We hit that with a little sesame dressing. We put some greens in there, and then we top it with a few of our house cured tomatoes. And that comes with either shrimp or chicken or tofu or salmon, whichever you like. And then finally, we have a bouillabaisse, which we make here. And this is another classic French preparation. Potatoes and fennel, shallots, garlic, the seafood that's in season. And here we have cod, shrimp, clams, mussels. There's a little olive oil over the top. And there you have it.
Oh, well, if that doesn't make everyone watching want to head back to Mory's whenever they can, I don't know what would. I can attest. The fries, what are the fries that I love? I told you, Chef, the truffle fries are my absolute favorite. I could just eat a bucket of them. So if anybody has not been to Mory's and had some truffle fries, that's my recommendation on top of all these other delicious dishes. So Chef, I have a couple quick questions about the rarebit before we take any other questions that folks may have. One of the questions was, and Tim, I don't know if you can hear me, but hopefully you can show us Chef's face because we would love to see his face.
I'm good.
There he is. Thank you. We had a question about whether or not you can also freeze the extra sauce if you wanted to be able to freeze it. You said that we could save extra sauce in the preparations. Can you also freeze it? Yeah?
That rarebit, you could freeze it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then
I
there
would
were
recommend it, but if you had to,
okay.
yeah, it'll last quite a while in the refrigerator.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Good to know. And then there were a couple other quick questions about some seasoning. And let me see, I think I might have, do you ever add nutmeg or cayenne to this? Any other interesting combinations that you might play with this dish?
I would absolutely, you could create anything into that rarebit. Spices, you could put curry in there, you could do all kinds of stuff to that. Again, you know, I want to serve what they've been serving here for the longest time. I don't want to change it, but certainly this cheese sauce can be used as a mac and cheese base. It can be used as, you know, any other type of cheese sauce, adding whatever kind of spices you want. Keeping in mind that, you know, some things ain't going to go with cheddar. Maybe you're going to change the cheese you're using.
Well, you know, Chef, one of the questions was who's going to get to eat all this food now? And what I was going to suggest is perhaps you guys can Uber Eats it over to me personally. You know, that feels like a little side benefit of getting to do this with you this evening.
Yeah, well,
but I understand.
I haven't eaten since breakfast, so I guess we're going
you
to set
should
a
eat
table
all
out
of it.
here. And what's the saying? How does the saying go? To the table at Mory's, right?
Exactly. So we have Carla back with us. And if anyone has any questions about Mory's, what they've been doing, what they've got going on, we're happy to take those questions. But I do have one quick question for you, Chef. Since you have been at Mory's for a couple of months now, what is your favorite part about being a part of the team there?
Oh, well, you know, when I first was doing the Zoom interview, and I started to look at the people that are on the board, and I'm like, wow, this is a great group. And you know, people ask me, where do you work? I said, Mory's, it's that museum, you know, down in New Haven. I mean, to me, this is just a museum. I'd say this place is just amazing. The history here is so rich, and that's what's really the challenge for us to say, you know, all right, let's start painting the picture of what is Mory's going to be like in 2030? What is Mory's going to be like to the next generation coming up? We need to start thinking about those things, as well as holding on to those rich traditions that are here. You know, with COVID, the cups are, you know, you can't do that, but we're looking forward to the day that we can do that again. And we're looking forward to the day that we can start having big banquets upstairs and the cup dinners and all those things. So, you know, that's the biggest pleasure for me, is the challenge that we face to, you know, bring us into the next century or whatever it might be, creating new menus, constantly pushing the envelope of what Mory's is and what, you know, Mory's wants to be. And that's, you know, I look for direction from the board and its members and all the members of Mory's. What's so great is they're all so vocal, and everybody is so involved in keeping up with Mory's and the history of it. So I'm just, you know, I'm just like the new kid on the block. I'm humbled to be here, and I look forward to feeding all the members.
We, you know, if this demonstration tonight is any example, we are super happy to have you there. I really should try and get in for some more of those truffle fries before the holiday break. But I said that I only was going to ask you one more question, but unfortunately I have a few more because our viewers have some for you. So if you wouldn't mind, there was a question if someone wanted to use gorgonzola for this recipe. What is the ratio that you suggest? I know you mentioned at the beginning what the ratios were of the ingredients that you were using, but can you address that at all if they wanted to mix up the recipe?
Depending on the gorgonzola you buy, if you're buying really, really good gorgonzola, I would buy the gorgonzola and then taste it. If it's really, really strong, you might want to consider cutting it with some other type of cheese, or you can just cut back on the amount. So I think we use 2.5 pounds of cheddar to make this. Right, and this recipe, you could probably cut it in half again. So you would just cut down on the amount of cheese you're going to put in that instead of using 2.5 pounds of gorgonzola, because there are some gorgonzolas out there that are really strong, rich, that will just overpower, because you want to have a little bit of that beer flavor. So think about that. I mean, instead of beer, if I'm using gorgonzola, I don't know, maybe you're going to use a hard cider. You know, something like that would go with the gorgonzola. So you can trick this up however you want. I mean, you know, you don't have to use that kind of toast. You could use a a walnut, date nut bread or something like that instead. That will go great with the gorgonzola. Maybe you put some dried cranberries in there. Instead of using beer, you would use a hard cider or something like that.
I love the way that a chef's mind works. It's so creative. It's so interesting. You just gave us an entirely different recipe that sounds amazing. I have another question that came in, and this may be a little bit tongue in cheek, so we'll see. But if there is, the question is if there is no rabbit in rarebit, what then is the ingredient in toad in a hole?
It's sausage, isn't it? I think it's sausage. You got an answer for that one?
I don't know the answer to that. I thought it was kind of funny, so I figured I would share it with you. And for anybody wondering, it is loud in the kitchen, so Chef and I had an agreement that I would repeat as many questions as I needed to so that he could hear me clearly. We appreciate everything that he has done for us this evening. I'm going to double check and make sure there are no other questions from the audience. But Carla, I want to give you a chance to let everybody know if there's anything else going on at Mory's that you would like them to know about, get involved with, check out membership, whatever it is, feel free to share with us anything that you'd like to add to this evening's conversation.
Sure. We've had Snack Pass. We actually started a great relationship with Snack Pass, which is sort of the student kind of fueled app for delivery. And that's gone very well. And we're actually having a lot of students get to know us who did not through this app. So that's, we're coming along into the early 21st century. So yeah, that's a really good thing that we started here.
And for anybody who's watching who's not familiar with Snack Pass is actually an app that was developed by a Yale student a few years ago, which was kind of it was certainly pre-COVID. It was an opportunity for students to order food from their favorite restaurants and literally just pick it up as they were walking to class. And Mory's being an option on Snack Pass is, just like Carla said, an incredible opportunity for students to get to experience Mory's food on the go, and certainly in this climate. We actually hope to have the gentleman who created Snack Pass on Yale Alumni Live in the future. So if anybody knows him, let him know I'm looking for him and that we'd like to talk about his story, because it's amazing, you know, the ideas that spring from Yale, and we love being able to highlight and tell those stories here on Yale Alumni Live. So I think with that, we have come to the end of our evening together at Mory's. Hopefully you all enjoyed getting a sneak peek into the kitchen, meeting the new head chef, and talking with Carla, the general manager. I know, you know, Mory's is one of my favorite places to visit. Whenever friends come into town, I always take them to Mory's. It feels very special to be able to share that with them. And we really appreciate you guys taking the evening. They are not open tonight, so they are there just for us. We are so grateful. We appreciate you taking the time to show us how to bring Mory's into our home kitchen, since many people are unable to come back this year for the game or reunions. It's really been a pleasure getting to work with you guys, getting to know you, and hoping still that food might show up at my doorstep. So I'll message you privately my address, and I hope to see you guys again soon. We're gonna try and cook something up for Feb Club. That was Carla's great idea this evening. So thank you, Chef. Thank you, Carla. Thank you, Tim, who is behind the camera. And thank you all so much for watching and being here with us this evening. I hope that you have a great Monday night. Enjoy your Welsh Rarebit at home, and check out Mory's online for more information about what they have to offer and membership if you're not already. So thank you guys all so much for being here. Have a great night. Take care, everybody.
Thanks so much, Stephanie.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. I stopped the live stream, so you guys can sign off if you want, or hang out if anybody is still here that might have a couple of quick questions. So I'll keep this open usually for a few minutes, but the live stream is off of Facebook. So we are here if anybody who is still watching would like to talk with us or talk with Chef, but that was wonderful and so much fun. Thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed it.
I had a great time. This is really fun.
Good. I really do need to get, thank you, Tim. There's our cameraman, everybody.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that the toad in the hole is a sausage.
I don't know. I was so embarrassed about the rarebit, but at the same time, I was so reassured when other people were asking the same question. But I should try and pop over there this week. I'm not kidding. I love those fries. They are my favorite thing. And I also love, they're so good. They're so good. And I love mussels. So when Chef pulled that one out, I was like, oh boy, I think I need to get it.
That's a really pretty dish.
Yeah, and delicious, I'm quite sure. So, well, there are a few people still, oh, I see a hand raised. Let me see if I can. Oh, I think it's one of your family members, Carla. Do you have a Dimitri in your family?
Yes. That's my husband, and now I'm afraid.
Oh, he had his hand raised, but I think it might have been by accident. But Dimitri, if you'd like to come on camera or ask a question, you are more than welcome to. This is kind of our behind the scenes end of the show chat back with our chef and Carla. We're so, oh, I do have. Oh, so Carla, there is a question about the status of Mory's and what you guys are going to be doing going forward, but I think that there are some announcements to come. So if anybody is interested, stay tuned. I know that Mory's has a newsletter and their website, obviously, when decisions are made, they'll be sharing those out. We, we were so glad when you guys opened back up in the fall. It was really nice to have you. Now, usually you take a break in the summer. Is that right? Or do you stay open in the summer?
We do. We close for a couple of weeks right around the 4th of July when it's, the slowest. Once the last of the reunions happens, it really gets very slow. And then we'll open up with, some limited hours. Our patio is really great in the back.
Yeah. And
this summer, actually, we fixed up the side of our buildings and added patio space there, which is really pretty. So we added another, I'd say about 24 seats on our side patios, in addition to what's in back by the Temple Bar.
Yeah, I love that patio. And as a matter of fact, Basie, when he was talking about the history of Mory's, was talking about how the addition of the patio was such a great thing to have and how it's his favorite place to sit in New Haven and have lunch. And I have to agree. I mean, you get to see the ivy covered walls, the brick sides of some buildings, and you're so close to 2 of the residential colleges. It's such a wonderful spot. And I was very happy to see that you guys added that extra seating on the side, because it's wonderful to be able to be outside. And especially now, it's kind of quintessential right now. So
yeah,
it's a great addition. I absolutely love it. So I think, if no one else has any other questions, we have a couple people still watching. We're happy to have you and to have you enjoy this time with us this evening. But I would imagine you all want to go home since you've been prepping for this all afternoon. So I think we will sign off at this point. But again, thank you so much for being here, Carla. Thanks, Chef, for me, and Tim once again. And hopefully I'll get in to see you guys before departing for the holiday break. So thank you again. Thank you to everybody who still hung in with us for a little bit. It's been absolutely wonderful. I wish you guys all the best Thanksgiving, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you so much.
Stephanie.
Take care. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.